In the interwar years, the British Army and British tank development and tank design suffered greatly. Between 1928 and 1932, only around 1/6 to 1/4 of the defence budget went towards the Army, and most of it went to the Royal Navy and the Royal Air Force. This was because British defence staff didn't believe another major war would happen for at least another 10 years, so they were sort of right. However, by 1936, the British Army only had 375 tanks, with 200 of them being light tanks and 166 of them being medium tanks, and most of them were obsolete by 1936 anyway. However, they were good at colonial policing. In 1938, the Deficiency Programme announced that Britain would need at least 5,000 tanks and troop carriers for the first 2 years of the war. And this was for 20 divisions in the first year, then 12 in the next year, and eventually get Britain up to 55 divisions. But this obviously wasn't happening. In September 1939, Britain was only producing around 100 tanks a month, and this continued for a while. And only in May 1940 was when they hit 140 tanks produced a month. So they're quite meagre numbers. Britain lost 700 tanks in the fall of France, and obviously they lost hundreds of anti-tank guns, anti-aircraft guns, field guns, heavy guns. They lost a lot of equipment, and they only had enough tanks to equip 2 divisions for the home force in June 1940. A big issue for tank production in the early years was the War Office restrictions, which restricted the width of tanks and also the weight of tanks, and this was all because of railways and bridges. However, after the fall of Dunkirk, British tank production slowly increased, and the Matilda II tank started to be used more, the Valentine tank started to be used more, and cruiser tanks, dubbed Crusaders, were used more as well.